Welcome. Hello, MACC members. I'm Laurel Hansen, MACC's Program and Member Engagement Manager, and welcome to Ask MACC Workforce Edition, brought to you by the Metropolitan Alliance of Connected Communities and our Human Resources team. We know our network is faced with ongoing and incredible challenges when it comes to workforce. It's how we provide valuable services to the community. Our workforce challenges can create difficult hurdles for our organizations to operate sustainably. There can be complex and seemingly insurmountable barriers, but luckily, we have an incredible HR expertise at MACC. And as a part of our network, you have access to that HR expertise. During this brief conversation, today I'm joined by Theresa Bernard, Human Resources Generalist at MACC. Theresa brings her expertise to MACC and our members to provide the HR guidance they need to be successful. Thank you for joining me today, Theresa.
Thank you, Laurel. I'm glad to be here.
So during this first chat, we are going to talk about the value proposition for employers. We know that from working with and hearing from our network that recruiting and retaining staff is hard. It's hard, and we often feel at a disadvantage to other employers who may have more in their toolkits to offer. So it makes sense for organizations to bolster their employer value proposition. So let's talk about that. First of all, I want to ask you, what are the benefits for MACC members in developing a stronger value proposition?
Yeah, so the benefit is that recruiting and retaining power. And, we have as much value as the next organization. So I really encourage us all to not sell ourselves short. When we talk about value, often your mind goes to money, right? But we have a lot more than that. And right now, candidates are wanting a good mission and a good value system that they can relate to. And all of our members have that. That's the basis of what they do. So, leverage that. That is a huge value proposition.
Yeah, excellent. What are some of the ways organizations can invest in a strong value proposition?
hmm a couple of things. First of all, make a statement with your materials. So our members, we create job flyers. We want to mimic websites. We want to create a brand that really stands out and that's really consistent. So that's one way. And then also ask your employees. And this is a really big deal because, again, employees want to connect with the mission and the values. They want to feel like they're working for an organization that values their opinions and that listens to them. So it's really important to get feedback from employees and then use that feedback. It's not just about making them feel heard, it's about showing that you heard them and making progress based on what your staff is really looking for.
That sounds really important. For those in organizations who are responsible for recruiting, they don't have to go it alone. They can do it in partnership with their team, and of course they can do it in partnership with their MACC network as well.
Exactly.
um, it seems like a strategic effort for an organization to get to a place of high value as an employer. It's not going to happen overnight. What are the best practices to building value in an organization to advance your value proposition?
Mhm. So one thing again is just investing in the value in the full package sense. So not just focusing on compensation, but focusing on benefits, the mission, that full package and leveraging that. And part of that too is really considering what your presence is, especially online. People are looking at Glassdoor reviews. They're looking at Google reviews. So you should be looking at those things as well and engaging with the online community so that you have an understanding and that you're kind of managing what your presence is. And that's really going to have a long-term effect.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounds critical to be able to look at your organizations from both sides, from inside and from outside, and to take a look at the whole package. That's a great point. You work with a lot of organizations within the MACC network. Can you share an example where an organization has taken steps to strengthen their value proposition? And
Mhm.
what did that impact look like?
Something I've seen really recently is a member who decided to cover the complete cost of medical premiums for their staff. And that's
Wow.
really rare. That's really rare. Obviously, that kind of a decision has to be based on, is that a sustainable model? Is that best for not only the staff, but the organization itself? And to be able to make that decision was a really big and awesome surprise for employees. So, if that kind of decision can be made, that builds such loyalty and such commitment to the organization, because staff really knows that the organization is committed to investing in them, and they want to invest in the organization as well.
Yeah, that's quite an amazing example. It just there's probably so many different ways, and you've mentioned so many different strategies that organizations can look at that can really deepen and strengthen that value proposition. So I think just even exploring that and having those conversations and trying to figure out what they can elevate. It's not one size fits all, right? Every
Yes.
organization's going to be in a different position, but yeah, just going through the whole menu of options, it can take an organization steps forward.
Mhm.
And from what you've mentioned, it's not just about pay and benefits. Can be, it is, but it's not only that. It also sounds like it's about inclusion and equity. And I know we're going to continue to talk more about that, but what role do you see inclusion and equity playing in the value proposition if you're looking at that as a part of that value?
Yeah. So idea, right? A lot of places call it DEI. At MAC, we call it idea: inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Um, we just look at the world around us and we know that that is the world we're living in. It's so important to not only embrace the idea, but to put it in action, because people are looking for that. And that, like I said, that's the world we're living in. So to be an organization that shows, not just talks about those values, is going to be so important to creating that value proposition.
Yeah, agreed. That's very well said. Um, and that's all the time that we have for this discussion, but we're going to keep going. And there are other opportunities for us to keep this conversation moving forward. Um, so thank you to Theresa from MAC and the HR team. It's been really interesting. I appreciate your time and insights. And I look forward to our next conversation. MAC members, you're encouraged to visit the MAC website and our Ask MAC page for additional resources. You'll find a variety of information and links to helpful content, including more in this series of recorded HR interviews. So keep in touch. We're here to support you and our network of MAC members. Thank you. Have a great day and be well. Goodbye.